When I married Anthony, I didn't realize I was also marrying into his family. And not in the sweet, we've gained another daughter kind of way. I mean his mother, Abigail, and his sister, Gianna. Two women who never stopped acting like their home was the center of the universe. Even after Anthony and I started our own. To be fair, Anthony was kind to me, gentle, supportive, loving. But when it came to his mom and sister, he froze. He couldn't bring himself to say no. After a while, he didn't even try. Abigail treated me like I was a polite inconvenience. The first time she stepped into our kitchen, she said, "Well, this is cute. I guess farm girls really can manage in the suburbs." Gianna smirked and added, "Wait until she serves you boiled potatoes 3 nights in a row." I laughed, thinking they were joking. They weren't. I work remotely for a logistics company, and I also help my parents run a small farm just outside town. It's not glamorous, but it's honest, and I value that. To Abigail, though, the idea that her son had married someone who picked vegetables instead of handbags was unforgivable. When our daughter Iris was born, things only got worse. Abigail decided she knew better than I did how Iris should be raised. She'd bring chocolates and sugary snacks, even though I'd explained Iris had food sensitivities. Gianna would barge into my kitchen without knocking, criticize my cooking. Always loud enough for Iris to hear. "You're really going to raise her on steamed veggies and oatmeal?" she scoffed once. No wonder the kid looks bored. I swallowed my words. Again and again. For Iris. For Anthony. For peace. Then one day, Abigail showed up crying. "Gianna's been in a terrible accident," she gasped, saying she'd been rear-ended at an intersection. "The doctors say it'll take months of rehab. Her leg is badly injured." "Oh my God, is she all right?" I asked, shaken. "She's stable," Abigail said, wiping her eyes. "But that's why I came. She needs real support." Her gaze shifted to the envelope sitting on our bookshelf. $10,000. The money I'd been saving for greenhouse equipment for the farm. "I wouldn't ask," she murmured, placing her hand over mine. "But this is family." Anthony wasn't home. I hesitated, but the guilt, the pressure, it crushed me. I handed her the money. After that, Gianna seemed to vanish. Supposedly recovering at a friend's place, too weak to see visitors, too medicated to talk. Yet Abigail came by almost every other day asking me to run errands, cook meals, or help with groceries, so she wouldn't have to stress. "But I've never even seen her," I said once. "She's exhausted. That's how recovery is." "Just do this one thing for me," Abigail insisted. Anthony didn't step in. "If Mom says she's hurting, she probably is," he said. So I kept doing the chores, juggling full-time work, caring for Iris, helping my parents at the farm, all while carrying the quiet weight of a lie I could feel but hadn't yet uncovered. Then one Saturday afternoon, everything unraveled. Anthony was in the garage working on his car. His phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. I was vacuuming when I saw the screen light up. "Mom calling." Before I could grab it, Iris did. "Grandma's calling, Daddy," she said happily. "Can I answer?" "Iris, wait." She tapped the green button and set it on speaker. There was no hello, no greeting, just muffled background noise. Then Abigail's voice came through. "Just make sure Iris is outside when it happens. Tell him Sophia said to let her play out front." I froze. Gianna's voice followed, calm, casual. "And if she falls near the driveway, it's easy to blame the sidewalk." "Exactly," Abigail said. "Sophia won't even notice. She's always distracted." Iris looked up at me. "Mommy, why is Grandma talking about me?" My heart pounded. I grabbed my own phone, opened the voice recorder app, and hit record. The call was still going. "He'll take our side if it looks like Sophia's careless," Gianna added. "He has to," Abigail replied. "It's about his daughter. Once we prove how unfit she is, he won't have a choice." My hands shook as I ended the call. My stomach churned. What had I just heard? I looked at Iris, who had gone quiet. "Sweetheart," I whispered, "go grab Foxy. We're going for a ride." She nodded and dashed to her room. Within minutes, she was strapped into the car, clutching her favorite toy. No bags, no toothbrushes. Just Iris and my phone in my lap, replaying the words I wished I could unhear. I drove straight to my parents' house. When my dad opened the door, I didn't speak. I just handed him my phone and pressed play. He listened in silence. My mom clutched her robe to her chest. I leaned closer and whispered, "They want it to look like an accident. Anthony thinks I'm careless. That's the angle. That way they can." I stopped, the words choking in my throat. My dad's eyes hardened as he gave a slow nod. "You're not going back there." "I'm filing a report," I said firmly. "This has to stop before something real happens." That night, I tucked Iris into a bed I hadn't touched since my college years. She was unsettled but calm, confusion lingering in her little face. "Mommy, are we safe here?" she asked. I brushed her hair behind her ear. "Yes, we're safe." She hugged her stuffed fox tighter. Downstairs, I uploaded the recording to the cloud, drafted a written statement, and started searching for lawyers. I wasn't just protecting myself anymore. That night, there were no tears, no screams. Only plans. The next morning, I woke up in my childhood room, heart pounding in my chest. The old ceiling, the squeaky dresser, the dusty blinds. It all felt small, like I had shrunk back into the helpless girl I once was. But I wasn't her anymore. I called the police. The officer on the line was calm, almost detached. "We understand, ma'am. But since nothing actually happened, and because it was just family talking, we can't take direct action." I stared at the phone. "No crime." I repeated. "They were planning to hurt my child. Until something occurs, it falls into a gray area," she explained. "Keep the recording. If you feel unsafe, stay with people you trust." People I trust. The list felt painfully short. That morning, the house was quiet. Dad made eggs, Mom poured coffee, and Iris chased the dog around the kitchen. No one mentioned Abigail until my mom finally asked softly, "What has Anthony said about this?" I shook my head. "He doesn't know yet. I want everything ready before I tell him." "You think he'll believe you?" she pressed. I glanced at Iris, drawing hearts in the window fog, then back at Mom. "I don't know. But he has to hear it from me with proof." I waited 3 days. Time to breathe. Time to gather strength. Then I texted Anthony. "I want to talk. Come to the house. Bring your mother." He wrote back. "Are you okay?" "No," I replied. "Just come. I want to clear this up." Naively, he agreed. That afternoon, I stepped back into our home for the first time since leaving. My dad came too, waiting in the car down the street, just in case. Inside, the air smelled of stale coffee and lavender cleaner. I cracked the windows, turned on the lamps, and set my phone on the coffee table. Then I waited. At 5 o'clock sharp, the front door opened. Anthony walked in first, looking tired, confused. "Living room," I called steady. Abigail followed, face carefully composed, hiding every trace of the schemer I'd heard on that recording. And then I froze. Gianna walked in. No crutches. No cast. Not even a limp. She met my eyes head-on, unapologetic. "I thought you were injured," I said, my voice sharp. She tilted her head. "What?" Abigail cut in fast. "Sophia, this isn't necessary. We only came because you sounded upset." I pressed play. The recording filled the room. Their voices, their scheme, Abigail's plan to frame me, Gianna's agreement about the sidewalk, the plot to convince Anthony I was unfit so he'd take Iris away. Anthony went pale. "What is this?" "Iris answered your phone by accident," I explained. "She heard it. I recorded it." Abigail scoffed. "That could be fake. Anyone can splice voices together now." Gianna laughed. "You expect him to buy this? You need help, Sophia." Anthony turned to her. "Where were you last week?" "What? Where were you staying? What was the hospital's name?" She faltered. "A private clinic. Out of state." "Which one?" he pressed. Abigail stepped in. "That doesn't matter. She needed rest. That's what counts." "No," Anthony snapped. "You told me she was in rehab. That she couldn't walk. You took $10,000 from Sophia's savings. And now she walks in here like nothing ever happened." Gianna crossed her arms. "So what, you're siding with her now?" Anthony looked torn, trapped between two realities. I stepped closer. I didn't want to believe it either. But this isn't about sides. It's about Iris. Your daughter. They talked about setting me up, making it look like I was neglecting her, just so you'd take her away. Gianna rolled her eyes. Oh please. It was hypothetical. Enough, Abigail hissed. Anthony turned on her. Did you say it? I was emotional, she said quickly. You were distant, Sophia was paranoid. That's not an answer, he cut in. I was protecting Iris, she snapped. By planning to get her hurt, he shouted. The room fell silent. For the first time, Gianna looked uneasy. We didn't do anything. You can't prove intent. I pulled out another phone, my mom's. This is already backed up. To the cloud, to my lawyer, to 3 people who'll go public if anything happens to me or Iris. Abigail's mouth opened, then shut again. And I've already contacted the police, I added. If you don't admit this was a scam, a lie, a setup, I'll press fraud charges. $10,000 stolen under false medical claims. Audio evidence of a conspiracy to endanger a child. Abigail flinched. Gianna's bravado cracked. Anthony collapsed into a chair like the life had drained out of him. Sophia, why didn't you come to me sooner? I stared at him. Because you never believed me the first dozen times. You always let them walk all over me. Every single time. I hadn't realized it had gotten this bad. I held my breath before speaking. I want every one of you out of this house, I said firmly. Gianna scoffed. This isn't even your house, it's ours. Both our names are on it. I stared back. Not for long. I've already started the paperwork to change that. Abigail opened her mouth to argue, but Anthony lifted his hand. Mom. Gianna. Leave. Gianna's jaw dropped. You're taking her side? He didn't reply, just gave me this empty, hollow look. I stood there watching as they finally walked out. Gianna slammed the door so hard it rattled. Abigail moved slower, like she couldn't quite accept that she'd lost. When the lock clicked into place, Anthony turned to me. What now? I looked at him. Really looked. Iris stays with me. My parents are filing for temporary guardianship, just in case. And you? You have a choice to make. Either you're her father, or you're their son. You can't be both. He swallowed hard. I added softer this time. Because one cancels out the other. His eyes filled, but no words came. I left him there, went upstairs and closed the door. The next morning, Abigail called. I blocked her. Gianna tried from another number. Blocked again. Then Anthony texted. Can I come see Iris? Before I could respond, there was a knock at the door. Not Anthony. A man in a sharp black suit stood there. Sophia, he asked. I nodded, heart racing. Sorry for dropping by like this, but there's been a development in your fraud complaint. May I come in? I froze on the porch. Fraud complaint. My chest tightened. Is something wrong? He gave a solemn nod. We've been investigating the audio file you submitted about the $10,000 medical scam and possible threats involving your daughter. We've confirmed that no medical facility has any record of a Gianna, under that name or birth date, receiving treatment for a leg injury. A breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding slipped out. The district attorney, he continued, is preparing charges, fraud, child endangerment, conspiracy, and falsifying medical need for financial gain. If Abigail or Gianna contacts you again, call us immediately. I nodded, trembling. Thank you. When I shut the door behind him, my knees buckled. I slid down to the floor, staring at Iris's crayon drawings taped on the wall. This wasn't over, but something had finally begun. That afternoon, I sat down with my parents. This time, I told the whole story without fear, just certainty. I even showed them Anthony's text. Can I come see Iris? My father leaned forward. Do you trust him? No, I answered plainly. But Iris loves him. If he chooses to change, I want her to have that choice. We agreed to meet at the park near my parents' home. Somewhere public. Somewhere Iris could feel safe. Anthony arrived alone, looking worn and sleepless. The moment he saw Iris, he dropped to his knees in the grass. She bolted toward him without hesitation. Daddy, she squealed. I stood back, arms crossed, mom beside me. When Iris ran off to the swings, Anthony approached. I need to talk, he said. I gestured toward a bench. then talk. He sat heavily, exhaling. I didn't know about the call, about what they were planning. I stayed quiet. I knew something was off about Gianna's story, he went on. But I wanted to believe she just needed help. She does need help, I said softly. But not the kind money can fix. He stared at the ground. I've listened to the recording over and over. I don't know how I ignored the signs. You didn't miss them. You just chose not to see. He nodded slowly. I'm sorry. For not protecting you. For doubting you. For letting them take it this far. I blinked against the sting in my eyes. I filed the fraud report, I told him. You may be called in as a witness. I'll cooperate fully. We sat in silence. Then he added, I know this doesn't undo anything, but I've contacted my lawyer to revoke Mom's power of attorney over Gianna's finances. I'm done enabling them. That's your choice, I said. But Iris and I? We're safe now. And that's how it's going to stay. He studied me. Does that mean we're over? I met his eyes. I think it means we were never what I thought we were. And maybe we never will be. He looked down. I still want to be her father. Then be one, I said. You don't need a marriage license for that. You need effort. Weeks passed. Abigail tried again, this time from a blocked number. I ignored it. Then Gianna's name popped up in the news. Arrested for falsifying medical insurance claims, using the same injury to apply for disability benefits. An anonymous tip had led investigators straight to her. She had forged records, fabricated documents, and listed Anthony as her financial sponsor. That night, Anthony called. They arrested her. I know. And Mom's under review for conspiracy. She signed off on the hospital letters. I didn't gloat. Didn't celebrate. Just said, choices have consequences. 2 months later, Anthony showed up at Iris's violin recital. He brought flowers, sat quietly in the back. When Iris spotted him, her whole face lit up. Later she whispered to me, Daddy clapped the loudest. He began seeing her every other weekend. Always in public. Always respectful. Never pushing. And I could finally breathe again. One night, after Iris had fallen asleep at my parents' house, I stood by the window, watching the leaves drift to the ground. So much of my world had burned away, but not everything. I still had my daughter. I still had the truth. I had my name, my life, and I swore no one would ever take that from me again. Gianna was sentenced to 18 months probation and a mandatory psychiatric evaluation. Abigail's charges were dismissed on a technicality, but her reputation was destroyed, ostracized from her charity circles and stripped from Anthony's legal documents. Anthony kept showing up for Iris. Not perfectly, but with genuine effort. And me? I finally learned the difference between forgiving and forgetting. I could offer one, never the other. And that was enough.